Most perennial plants need to be divided on occasion to reduce crowding and increase plant vigor. You also divide perennials to control their size and to multiply plants. How often you divide a perennial is going to depend on what you're growing. Plants like hardy chrysanthemum and asters benefit from division every year or two, while other plants like peonies rarely ever need to be divided. There are a number of plants that you should never divide. These include oriental poppies, columbine, and butterfly weed. Fall is the time to divide our spring blooming perennials, while those that bloom in the fall should be divided in the spring just after the new growth emerges. Summer bloomers can be divided in either the spring or fall, but more preferably in the fall. There are a number of signs that you can look for that indicate your plant needs to be divided. You may find that it has flowered more sparsely than usual. Either the flowers are smaller or they're just far fewer in number. The stems might be weak and topple over easily, or you may find dead regions or hollowed out regions, especially in the centers of the plants. Another sign that a plant might need to be divided is poor foliage, especially towards the base of the plants. I'm going to divide this clump of iris. Before you divide plants, you want to make sure to water them a day or two ahead of time. And if you're planning to move the divisions to another location in the garden, be sure to prepare the soil there so that you're ready to plant. Iris is spread through an underground stem called a rhizome. The roots grow out of the rhizome, as does a fan of leaves. Now, the rhizome also acts as a mechanism for storing food for the plant, which allows the iris to survive over the winter months. As you can see down here, the rhizomes are crowded and pushing up out of the soil. We're going to divide these so that we could spread them out a little bit more. But before we do that, we need to cut back the foliage to about 6 inches from the ground. This is going to help to retain some of the moisture in the plant, and it also makes it a little bit easier to lift and move the plants. Using a shovel or a fork, you want to dig around all 4 sides of the plant. It's good to dig about 4 inches away from the base of the plant so that you don't damage the roots beneath. Irises are fairly shallow rooted, so you don't have to dig down too deep to get them out. Some other plants you're going to need to dig a bit deeper. You can lift the plants up out of the ground either with your shovel or with a fork. Before we divide this clump of iris, we need to remove some of the excess soil. You can shake it off. Sometimes you can lift it up in the air and just drop it, and that'll loosen large chunks of soil off. Some plants are a little more tender, so you're not going to want to drop them too high. We're going to just loosen this. It'll make it easier to see where the rhizomes themselves are, and also make the job a little bit easier. Okay, that looks pretty good for now. Now that we've lifted the plant, it's time to make our divisions. Some of the pieces broke off into nice sets already, but others will have to cut. Use a sharp knife to make your divisions. Each division should have a section of rhizome and a single fan of leaves, as you can see here. You want to discard older sections that look shriveled. You may see signs of disease or even insect damage. The younger pieces towards the edge of the clump are going to be more vigorous. You don't want your divisions to dry out while you're working, so keep a pail of water handy and wet your divisions as you go. Or you could keep some damp cloths or pieces of wet newspaper to cover your plants while you're working. This is especially important if you're working with a large patch of plants. These divisions look ready to plant, so we're going to go ahead and put them back in the ground where we lifted them. I've already prepared the hole here where I'm going to plant my iris. You want the hole deep enough so that the roots have room to grow, spread out down and out. Iris are fairly shallow rooters, so when you plant it, the rhizome should be just beneath the soil surface. Gently pat the soil down around the base of the plant and water it well. Your divisions are going to need to be well watered throughout the rest of the growing season until a healthy root system develops. You can also mulch around the plant. It's a good idea to put some fallen leaves or straw down around your plants, especially in the winter, to help give them a little bit extra protection.